as a vote maximizer for the BJP, head and shoulders above anybody else in the party, including, regrettably, Mr. L.K. Advani. Mr. L.K. Advani, as I've said, has had his day and no longer has the same appeal to the rank and file or the public at large that Mr. Modi does.
Shashi, Tharoor, is the Congress's problem the incapacity to offer a counter narrative to Modi? So what I'm really asking is that while there has been much condemnation of Narendra Modi, while there has been the questioning of his close aide Amit Shah running the Uttar Pradesh campaign because of his controversial involvement in a number of encounter cases where he faces charges from the CBI, what one is really asking is, what is that counter narrative? Now you said famously when Narendra Modi spoke about the burqa of secularism that it was better to be behind the burqa of secularism than in the khaki shorts of intolerance. While that's a great line, how do you translate it into a real political counter narrative? Isn't that what's missing? Because it's not clear who the Congress's contender is. Is it Rahul Gandhi? We don't even know if Rahul Gandhi wants to be Prime Minister.
Barka, as I said, we will announce a candidate for Prime Minister when the time comes. We have a Prime Minister right now. We have no desire to in any way raise the question of Prime Ministership until the party is good and ready to do so. But let me come back to your fundamental question. This nation can only be led by somebody who unites, not somebody who divides. This is a nation of great diversity. It's a nation of multiple faiths, languages, regions, castes. We need to get a leader who can actually bring people together and not drive them apart, as sadly the BJP's leadership contender, let's put it that way, has done. And this is precisely why when we cite Mr. Advani, we are not taking back our previous criticisms of anything Mr. Advani has said or done in the past. We are simply pointing out that within that party itself, there is very clear dislike and dissension of this headlong rush to sanctify the personal ambitions of one individual. And as far as we are concerned, we will say that we will not have much patience for anybody advancing an agenda to rule India who does not enjoy the confidence and trust of all sections of Indian society. And our counter narrative is, we are a party that stands for all Indians and all of India. We are a party that stands and has always stood for the inclusion of people, whether rich or poor, whether weak or strong, whether Hindu or Muslim, whatever these divisions are, whether upper caste or lower caste, whatever this may be. For us, everyone has an equal stake in the future of India and an equal right to a place in it. I don't know if Mr. Modi can credibly say that.
Mahesh Jethmalani, let me get you in here. The fact of the matter is that the biggest criticism of Narendra Modi is that he is not an inclusive leader. Now, what strikes me as very significant is some attempts to change the imagery around Narendra Modi. For example, we all remember that time when he refused to accept a skull cap from somebody who had come to his Sadbhavna meet in Gujarat. Recently in Jaipur, you had women who were attending his rally saying we were asked to come wearing our burqas, that burqas and skull caps were being distributed. So in a sense, has the BJP and Modi also accepted that they need to change the imagery and they need to play the same politics of symbolism that they once showed such scorn for?
But I'm not sure about the politics of symbolism being a good idea. I think if it's heartfelt, it's worth it. I mean, if there is a perception that he's not inclusive, it's Mr. Modi is doing the right thing by going out and being all inclusive. So I think any gestures in that direction to change perception are very important. But again, let me come back to what Mr. Shashi Tharoor said. I mean, you know, he says that Dr. Manmohan Singh continues to be the Prime Minister. But only the other day, Dr. Manmohan Singh has said that he wants to work under Rahul Gandhi. So this seems to be some kind of ceding of turf by Dr. Manmohan Singh. He is no longer interested in the post, and he happily wants to relinquish it to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who in turn doesn't seem to want it. I think the Congress party has a really serious leadership crisis, and that is because their record is bad, and their record on corruption particularly is abysmal. Shashi talks about the Congress party being inclusive and not divisive. Of course it is divisive. It is divisive between those who are corrupt and those who are not corrupt. The Congress party now stands for a section of the people, and they are the people who vote for the Congress, a section of the people who line their own pocket at the cost of the nation's development.
Shashi, the question for the Congress is this, that the BJP could argue that however public the dissent or the dissension within the section of the BJP may be when it comes to Modi, it is an expression of inner party democracy, however untidy it is. But when it comes to the Congress, you have what some would say is a reluctant leader and no inner party discussion, no inner party debate, which is a form in a sense of sycophancy, isn't it?
Not really, Barkha. It's a sign of unity. What's interesting is you have a divided BJP that is unable to paper over the cracks in its own dissensions about whether Mr. Modi should become their candidate or not, trying to point fingers at a united Congress where there is no division, where there are no arguments, where no one is sitting around saying who should be leader, who should be prime, nothing. They have no quarrel within the Congress party. We should actually be credited for actually remaining united at this time. But I can't let Mahesh's previous somewhat cynical trying to change this debate to one of corruption go without a comment. The fact is that there is corruption in this country. The fact is we are opposed to it. The fact is that the institutions of Indian democracy, including the CAG reports, a lively parliament, a free press, have all exposed corruption, and it is being. We have a Lokpal bill that has passed one house and needs to pass the other. There is a great deal that can be done against corruption, but sadly no party is exempt from the taint of corruption. I think we all remember the famous scandals during the NDA regime, that the Helka sting, Coffin Gate, all of that. I think there's no point in just pointing fingers. In fact, in corruption, when you point one finger, there are three fingers pointing back at you. So let's remember, we're all in this together. This is a society that needs to cleanse itself of the stain of corruption, but that stain sadly extends to every party that has tasted power. It is something we have to tackle firmly, and we are determined to tackle it. But what we're running on is a concrete record. I mentioned a number of examples that have changed people. Our government is more transparent today because of the RTI Act. More children are in school today because of the RTE Act. We have poor rural families being able to live in dignity because of the NREGA scheme. We have people who have opened bank accounts and never had them before. We've had the purchasing power of poor rural India being enhanced. We now have guarantees of food so people don't need to go to bed hungry. And their land cannot be expropriated without protection. All of these are the concrete achievements we're going to run on. Yes, there have been definite issues of corruption that we all denounce, including people in the Congress denounce it, but the fact is, on the overall record of the UPA government, I believe we have enough to be proud of, and that's what we're standing on.
Let me get last comments from both of you now. Mahesh Jethmalani, to you first. Interestingly, just last week, I think it was Modi who said that I don't dream of becoming Prime Minister. I'm actually committed to staying here and working in Gujarat, to which Shashi Tharoor said that Modi and I have the same dream because I don't dream of him becoming the Prime Minister either. More seriously, what do you make of that comment, given that there's now such a clamour to make him Prime Ministerial candidate? Was he being ironic? Was he pushing his party to declare him? What was going on with that comment?
Well, nothing. I just think that it was implicit in that statement was the fact that, listen, I'm quite happy being in Gujarat, but if the party wants me, I'm happy to serve at the central level as the leader of the party, if the party so desires. That's all that can be read into that statement. Again, a final word on what Shashi just said. Corruption, he says that the Congress party is determined to stamp out corruption. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's been well nigh 9.5 years, and corruption, the country is mired in corruption, and congressmen particularly are knee deep, if not neck deep in it. So much for the corruption factor. As regards Shashi's grandstanding about, improving rural conditions and the food security bill and the land acquisition bill, this is at the fag end. This is all to somehow salvage something from an extremely bad 4.5-year tenure. This has come at the fag end of this tenure of the Congress party, and I'm afraid it's it's much too little and much too late.
All right, Shashi Tharoor, last question to you. In many ways, you and Narendra Modi occupy this very polarized space on Twitter. If you were to take Twitter as a sliver of the political space, there are these sort of camps that are for Modi, and there are camps that are completely ideologically opposed to him. You both have massive following. You've had a very famous headline-grabbing exchange when it came to your wife, Sunanda Pushkar. Your last thoughts on what the concrete objection is to Narendra Modi? Is it that you're going to keep saying he's not secular? Does that word even work in Indian politics today, because it's been so roundly abused and manipulated and subverted?
Well, you know, I personally have rarely used the word secular. I prefer to speak of Indian pluralism, which is a reality that our nationalist leaders celebrated, from Nehru to Maulana Azad and so on, against the divisive politics of a Jinnah. Sadly, now we have the divisive politics of a leader who stood by while a couple of million of his own citizens, his own residents under his watch, were attacked, and frankly, many lost their lives, perhaps 2,000 did. In these circumstances, there is a blot on the record of that individual which cannot be wished away. Whether we are using slogans about secularism or pluralism, we're saying, can such a person truly inspire confidence across the nation that he can aspire to be a fair leader of all Indians of all faiths? There are some real doubts about this. Mahesh talks about corruption. Very frankly, this is an argument that I think we should have elsewhere, because, as I said, everyone is equally culpable, sadly. But when he says that the record of the UPA is only in the fag end of our term, the right to information, the right to education have been around for a while. So has the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. These are things where the actual changes that are brought about are visible to all Indians. Okay. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Let me stress once again, we will be standing for the unity of India. Unfortunately, somebody else is promoting a divisive agenda, which I think is not going to be acceptable to the electorate. Let the voters decide in the end.
The voters will have the last word. The debate is well and truly begun. It is just now a matter of hours before Narendra Modi is named as the prime ministerial candidate. Will the Congress declare one at all? That's the big question right now. Mahesh Jethmalani, Shashi Tharoor, thanks for joining us on The Buck Stops Here. All right, so Narendra Modi is all set to be named as the prime ministerial candidate tomorrow, but there are still a few last-minute hurdles, perhaps some family drama in the parivar that has to be tackled, and Rajnath Singh is at this moment busy doing that. These are the details coming in on our news break tonight. The details of the meeting between Rajnath Singh and Sushma Swaraj. We are told that Sushma Swaraj conveyed to the party president that her position on Narendra Modi remains unchanged and that she will want to express it at a meeting of the parliamentary board. We're also being told that Rajnath is busy trying to build consensus, but that consensus has not quite fallen into place yet. Sushil Kumar Modi, the Bihar BJP leader, who today said that Advani needed to understand that the cadres wanted Modi. We are told that Advani is extremely upset by these remarks, and LK Advani too is saying there must be a meeting of that parliamentary board where he too wants to express his opposition to Narendra Modi. And Rajnath Singh perhaps now has to figure this out. Does he call a meeting of the parliamentary board, or does he simply make a direct announcement? Either way, the die has been cast. Advani or no Advani, it seems there's no option for the BJP but Modi. What will that do to the campaign of 2014? Let's take you straight now to our political punch tonight. We're joined by Abhishek Singhvi of the Congress party. We're also joined here in the studio by Piyush Goyal of the BJP. With me in the studio, Swapan Das Gupta, who's of course a senior commentator and columnist. And joining us from Patna tonight is Pawan Verma. He's with the JDU and an advisor to the Nitish Kumar government. Of course, the question should be asked that Advani, does he even count for anything in the BJP anymore, despite the platitudes that are being dished out about him being the patriarch of the party? But before we come to that, and Abhishek Singhvi, I'm sure you will start by pointing to LK Advani. Why is it that the Congress suddenly quotes LK Advani every time they want to talk about Narendra Modi? After all, Advani was an ideological target on the other side of the trenches for the Congress party. Do you not think that the BJP has stolen a march over the Congress in at least zeroing in on its prime ministerial candidate, while we're still wondering whether Rahul Gandhi is even interested in the job?
Barkha, if you think this is stealing a march on competitive prime ministerial candidate announcements, then I think the whole thing has to be re-examined. First of all, we have never believed in, we have never been part of this competition, and we do not believe that Indian elections are held in a presidential format at all. And that's a fundamental point. People elect parties, ideologies, systems, views, manifestos, and the parties then elect prime ministers. I think this is a completely fallacious approach. Secondly, what is interesting is, do you think I have to quote Mr. Advani? I can quote any number of people within the BJP. One day I can choose to quote Shatrughan Sinha, the other day Ms. Sushma Swaraj, the third day Mr. Yashwant Sinha. One day I might quote Mr. Advani, and then I can go all around the NDA, quoting a lot of other people. So here is a person, Barkha, the basic point is, who is by definition ex hypothesi, somebody who by his very characteristic is a polarizing figure. He's a divisive figure. Now he's not divisive for me, he's not in my party. He's divisive within the BJP, which is the smallest sub-circle, within which comes the larger circle of the NDA.
Okay.
And thereafter which comes the largest circle of the country.
Okay.
Now if you decide to choose such a person and you spend your energies for 4 months fighting open wars in front of candid camera about such a person, why blame the Congress? I mean, if you can't set your house in order, why blame the Congress?
Okay, Piyush Goyal, is that a fair point? The fact of the matter is that there are people like Sudhindra Kulkarni, they may not be part of the BJP today, they may not represent anybody but perhaps LK Advani, who are today making the same point that Abhishek Singhvi is making, that if Modi is polarizing his own party, imagine what he'll do to the electorate. Now, there are many extremely successful politicians who are polarizing as well, but would you concede that this is a person who, while being extremely popular, is also extremely polarizing, and that applies to the BJP before it applies to the voter?
Well, I'm very interested now to know that Dr. Singhvi is also probably a maths wizard other than being a very eminent lawyer. But after all the exposition on mathematical formulas that he has just given us, I think he's missed the point.
Which is the
that
point?
Ours is a party which believes in a democratic setup. We have a party where a common worker who has started from the grassroots, who has started working originally in the RSS and then worked his way through over the years within the BJP, from the communist rung, is today a candidate the party workers and the people at large
but not
are
the,
seeing
but not
as
the,
a
but
leader.
not the party patriarch or the leader of the opposition in the Lok
Permit
Sabha.
me to finish?
Yeah, sure.
The party workers, the people at large, which is evident from every place he goes. He goes to Hyderabad, not a stronghold of the BJP. He goes to Chennai. He comes to Mumbai, he goes to Jaipur 2 days ago. You saw the people, the kind of love and adulation for him. He's a person who has gone into the DNA of the nation. He's created, I think, divisions more within the Congress because they suddenly find themselves rudderless.
Okay.
They find themselves without a leader. And I think a spectacle of a Prime Minister talking the way he did on the plane back to India 2 days back, where he was forced to talk about a young leader who has no grassroots
serving under Rahul Gandhi. Yeah, okay.
I think I am happier in my party that there's a democratic setup where people at large decide who their leader is going to be.
Okay, we'll take that back to Abhishek. But Swapan Das Gupta, you're talking about the BJP's manana politics. Advani ji ko manaya ja raha hai. There's a sense of acute deja vu about this. You know, it's like the last episode of a family drama, and now the new script is going to be written. And we presume that despite Advani sulking, Modi will be announced, if not tomorrow, maybe the next couple of days. That seems set. But you're talking about this one-man veto. Does LK Advani still have that one-man veto, or is that age of the BJP now well past it?
I think one of the major mistakes we make in India, and I think it extends to all political parties, is that they want unanimity. That consensus and unanimity are often equated and merged together. Tell me any non-incumbent American president who has ever won a primary battle without opposition. We see that as normal.
But they have an institutionalized system of competition.
You see, that's precisely what
we don't have that here.
That's precisely what I'm coming to. And because of our lack of institutions, we sometimes try and contrive unanimity. Now, what I think I am very reassured by is the fact that there has been a reasonably robust discussion within the BJP about the pros and cons of Narendra Modi.
You don't think Advani's sulk is embarrassing for the party?
I think Advani's sulk is very embarrassing for himself, because I think it shows him up to be rather petulant. Because what Sushil Modi said today is being echoed in a language far more unparliamentary, and Modi was not an unparliamentary intervention throughout the country. Today, I think everybody recognizes that for all the seminal contribution Mr. Advani has made in the past, he has lost the plot.
Okay.
That he hasn't been able to detect the undercurrents which are there not only, and in the BJP it's not an undercurrent, it's an overt one.
Do you believe the others who are opposing Modi have also missed the undercurrent? There's Sushma Swaraj, there's Murli Manohar Joshi, there's Nitin Gadkari.
No, where have you got all this?
I don't think that's
It's
true.
a discussion that's going on.
I think it's quite clear. I think what the BJP
So you don't disagree with the first two? You don't disagree with the first two?
No, I don't disagree with the first two. I think it would be very fair if the BJP went ahead with the parliamentary board meeting where everyone legitimately has their say, come out. And I think when you talk about a consensus, I think you'd say that by and large, the overwhelming majority view is that Mr. Modi should be declared.
I think that's fair enough. And Abhishek Singhvi, I think Swapan makes a very important point for our democracy, and the point is this, that just because a party does not have unanimity does not actually make the choice any less legitimate in the end. And that question needs to be confronted by the Congress, which has no inner party democracy, which has a pre-decided candidate for Prime Ministership, where the person is reluctant, namely Rahul Gandhi. We don't know whether he's interested in the job, yet every Congress leader from the Prime Minister onwards is tripping over themselves to say he's our Prime Ministerial candidate. Is the Congress going to declare him as a Prime Ministerial candidate? Because you did declare Manmohan Singh in 2009.
Barkha, I'm asking you, what is the need? Why should we get up to the shenanigans and the antics which we find the BJP indulging in every day?
Why did you do it in 2009? Why did you declare a Prime Ministerial candidate in 2009?
Just a minute. Just because with a very good spin, Mr. Swapan Das Gupta has reduced the discussion to unanimity, who on earth in India is searching for unanimity? The BJP is nowhere near unanimity. It is not even near consensus.
He's saying that doesn't matter. He's saying that doesn't matter.
Period. No. I am saying a discussion and a nishkarsh, a conclusion must happen within a finite time period. When the issue becomes not the prime ministerial candidate or the party or the country, but becomes the person himself over 6 months, over 4 months, I don't think the BJP will be able to justify that on the ground of unanimity or consensus. They are going on and on about it.
What about the Congress? We'll ask the BJP all these questions.
We've had a perfect 10
But what
years.
about the Congress not having any
answer.
inner party democracy?
And no
How
choice
can you talk about a party like us, which has been ruling this country for the last 10 years immediately now?
By
We've
one
had a perfect
family.
transition. We've had people threatening to shave their head and then being totally quiet and stunned into silence when Dr. Manmohan Singh becomes Prime Minister. He continues as the first incumbent Prime Minister of India after Nehru to complete 10 years. And we feel no need to enter into competitive Prime Minister declaratory politics today, because we will wait till 2014, but we made it clear there is no vacancy for Prime Minister now, and after 2014 it will be the Congress President, the Congress leadership which will decide. It's very simple.
Okay.
Now, doesn't the country like that better, or does the country like that between now and 2014 every day I go on your channel discussing who's going to be Prime Minister? I mean, is the country interested in that post or in policies?
Okay,
on
Swapan wanted to come in briefly and then
on what we can do in Manrega,
yeah, Swapan,
on what we can do on this or that.
Okay,
that's
Abhishek.
the problem, Garkha. The problem is the BJP from being issueless has become Prime Minister issued. The issue is only one. Who will be Prime Minister?
And you know what? I think
right senses wants to be issueless.
Okay, one at a time. Swapan, you first, then Pawan, then Piyush. Swapan.
Yeah. I would say I'm just astonished at the profound arrogance of a person who says, how dare anyone question what is there in the Congress party? We have been accustomed to ruling this country. You know, this sense of profound entitlement of the ancien regime, if I may call it, that how dare someone come up from the grassroots, how dare someone get actually nominated and thrust to a position by a claim rather than through, manipulating certain situations. How dare someone who we have tried our best to appear most contentious, controversial, actually circumvent these hurdles. The reason why the BJP and the Congress might have its own compulsions, and I respect those compulsions, the reason why the BJP today has to declare someone is because they are not the incumbent.
Yeah.
They are the challenger.
Yeah.
They are the challenger. They need to go out. They need to establish their credibility. They need to establish not only what are the shortcomings of the existing regime, but what they have to offer instead. And that is why, in pure timing, practical terms, it's important for the BJP, even if it is not very important for the Congress.
One second,
at least it's not an accident of birth And it's not that every chief minister has to go around announcing that we would love to work under somebody who's because he's born in a family.
We'll take that to Abhishek. But Pawan Verma, here's the point. There's a certain inevitability about this moment. It's going to be announced in a few hours, maybe not tomorrow, maybe day after, whenever. The fact of the matter is that the main opposition today has a face to its campaign. Are you worried, as a party that represents neither the Congress nor the BJP, that actually we do not, as people, know who the specific faces are to any of the other campaigns?
You know, Barkha, in a strange way, my respect for the BJP has increased because in spite of the somewhat muscular and intimidating way in which Mr. Modi and his supporters have projected him, there are still voices within the BJP who are willing to stick their neck out to raise issues. Now, that is the important point. It's not about Mr. Advani or Mr. Modi. There are certain issues that the BJP itself has raised about Mr. Modi. I believe the party, instead of proceeding in such an opaque manner with this kind of diplomacy that Mr. Rajnath Singh is running and the role of a purportedly cultural party behind the scenes, let the voices be heard. I in fact agree with Swapan that a party need not have unanimity, but if it does not have unanimity, let the issues which is dividing it be heard publicly. Mr. Advani made that attempt before Goa through a letter.
Yeah.
He was co-opted. In fact, there were some lumpen elements within the BJP who stoned his house for not going to Goa. It was reported in the papers. Beyond this intimidation and beyond, as Sapan, to use his metaphor when he asked Abhishek, how dare you question? There are people who are daring to question, because I ask you this question, that the real issues being raised by that minority so-called within the BJP, those who have not been somewhat railroaded into becoming abject and loyal supporters of a candidate. The real issues are, what is Mr. Modi bringing to the table?
Okay.
Either on
it's a very relevant point.
Or on
fair
leadership.
point.
No, it's a very relevant point. And I think people should be
able to be debated. These are issues.
And I think
issues
it
beyond
should be
personalities.
fair. It would be fair if the BJP if the BJP at the end of today or tomorrow or whenever, at the end of its parliamentary board meeting, decides to call a Maha-Adhiveshan, a national council, just like the one which was held in Mumbai in 1996.
95.
And if there are dissenters, let them go and talk to the party cadres and say these are the reasons why we did it.
Okay.
I think that would be very fair.
Okay.
I mean,
one minute.
Whether they have a political career after that is of course a matter of conjecture.
Okay. I think that's honestly said. Piyush, 1 minute.
Bugs everywhere. I mean, where are these dissenting voices?
1 minute.
I have not heard a single dissenting
that's
voice.
now being that's being.
You are coming up with.
I'll tell you. Maybe these people don't count for you, but just one thing. Shatrughan Sinha.
Said anything the last time was
They may not come on television and
I
say,
have not
okay, you're all
heard
shouting.
BJP is faced with
1
a
minute.
situation.
It is
1
all
minute.
conjecture.
No,
Where the points are which give you all this so-called inside dope.
It's called reporting. Anyway, Abhishek Singhvi, the question is this. Where is the counter... may I ask a question? Where is the counter narrative from the Congress? Does it not suit the Congress to have Modi actually become an election issue? Isn't that what's really going on here? Because it deflects, in a sense, from the UPA's record on governance. It reflects from corruption. It deflects from all of these issues. I actually think that the Congress would love nothing better than for Modi to be the key election issue. You're hoping for a polarization.
Barkha, you're totally mistaken if we are interested in choosing or interfering in the choice of the BJP's leader. It least matters to us, and we come on these programs to discuss the issues you raise, not because we are interested or have a locus in choosing the BJP Prime Minister or the BJP candidate for Prime Minister. That's number one. Number two, with the typical spin of a spin master, Mr. Swapan Dasgupta starts first of all by putting a whole range of very, very extraordinary words from the English lexicon into my mouth. I don't even understand the meaning of some of these words, you know, ancient regime and how
Cambridge
dare
was
and all
wasted
that. I never
somewhat.
said any of this. I never did.
Manu,
yes,
Cambridge
it was,
was
wasted.
Because,
well, thank God it was wasted, because while you asked the question, no, thank God somebody it was wasted, because when you ask the question, how dare you, you perhaps forget that you're doing a hit wicket, a classic hit wicket. Because the daring of questioning is coming not from me, Swapan, it is coming from within the party you support so ardently.
Okay.
All the daring of Mr. Modi is coming from the Murli Manohar Joshis and the Advanis. Congress is not daring Mr. Modi. Congress is quite happy in whom you choose. But the point is this great indignation and anger you just showed should be directed at the party you support, not at me.
Okay.
All the opposition at the moment is coming from
when
the
you
smallest
expect
semicircle.
Congress to be happy.
No.
Because with Modi at the helm, the message will reach the masses about the massive corruption they've done. The message will reach to the masses about the
No, I was
misgovernance.
saying that they want to make Modi an election issue.
Modi as an
And
election
that's
issue is a
legitimate
great
politics.
positive
That's
for the
legitimate
BJP.
politics. That's legitimate
if
politics.
they do that,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, obviously it's quite possible, entirely
And it's
possible.
a legitimate political strategy.
Yeah, but it would be as legitimate if tomorrow you started to preface every bit of your program by saying the nation wants to know.
And why would I do that?
Why would you want to do that?
Why would I ever want to do that?
Because you'd be ruining your unique brand value.
I agree with you. For
Exactly.
what? Okay. now here. Yeah,
So
sorry.
therefore-
Abhishek, you're trying.
Therefore, if
Barkha,
Yeah, sorry. I'll let
Barkha,
Abhishek
one
get a
sec.
word in. Yeah.
Only half a second.
Barkha,
I think there's also another
Barkha,
delicious.
the question
there's also
is-
another
1 minute,
delicious
Pawan. 1
irony.
minute, Pawan.
I forgot
Abhishek.
to mention.
Yeah, Abhishek.
No, I said I just forgot to mention another delicious irony.
Yeah.
Here are my two BJP friends challenging the whole world. How dare anybody question the two BJP friends? One even more BJP than the one in the BJP.
Okay, chalo. Aage badho.
chalo.
Daring to challenge me that how dare one ask a question about Mr. Modi. And the
We
delicious
never said
irony
that.
is that they are both so anti-democratic. They are both so anti-democratic
I
that
thought he asked
people
it.
in the Congress who have been elected 55 years in different governments, including after 77,
Okay.
by the people of India.
But I thought the
are
dare was
supposed to be
started
thrust
by
upon
him.
the people.
We never
Okay, let me get a
Mr. Modi is
question
not
in.
elected within the BJP.
Okay, let me get a question in.
Mr.
Swap
Modi is
it.
not elected within the BJP
Okay,
yet.
okay, swap
And they
it.
are so angry.
But I think
1
you
minute.
are the one who
He's not
started the
elected.
No,
dare.
Barkha, I
We
want
never
to say
raised the
something.
dare.
Okay, Pawan, you want to
And
say
I
something
think
and
we
then I
go
have a
beyond
question.
families.
Okay.
We have genuine leaders
Yes.
from the grassroots.
Okay, Pawan,
Barkha,
make
I
your
want to
point.
say,
The trust of the people.
if the Congress and the BJP will give space to other parties,
Yes, Pawan, go ahead.
I hope the
I
public
want to
gives you
say
space. You should
that
worry
we have
about
a
that, Pawan.
problem that we reduce we have a problem that we reduce everything to electoral strategies. The question, Barkha, is not whether Mr. Modi is from the electoral point of view good for the Congress. The
Or the
question is
BJP,
if Mr. Modi is good for the nation. Now I know Mr. Piyush Goyal will immediately attack me. I say that the BJP is a responsible party. There are voices within the BJP
But
of
the
some
voter can
eminence,
decide that.
although of course Swapan considers anyone who opposes Modi as ancien regime. The point is there is an issue. There is an issue about the nationwide acceptability of Modi. There is an issue about his governance record. There is an issue about his polarizing and divisive factor.
But won't the voter
These are
decide
issues
that?
need to be
I
created
agree
because
with
the
you.
reality
I
of
agree
India
that there
demand
are
that.
issues. I agree that there are issues. Now here's my question. On Modi and Advani, what's unfolding today, which you say is fine, it's a healthy process of inner party democracy, etc., and Advani is embarrassing himself. Do you not think, Swapan, that there are actually striking parallels between the political journeys of the two? Because what Advani was to the cadre, what he was to the cadre back then is what Modi is to the cadre today. And Advani tried to reinvent himself. Do you believe that Modi is also somewhat doing that? Because what happened in Jaipur, for example, where you have Modi, after being very snide about what he called the burqa of secularism, you have these women saying we were asked to come in parda, we were asked to wear skull caps. So I'm just wondering whether both leaders started off at point A and somewhere have understood that you have to go beyond that image.
Well,
Are
think,
they more similar than different? Are Advani and Modi more similar than
I think
different?
your question is relevant, but I think the example you gave may not be completely appropriate under these circumstances. What I think is probably true is that Mr. Modi has served for the past 12 years as Chief Minister of Gujarat. Now that's a specific job, involves a specific responsibility. Today, when you are campaigning for the rest of India, you obviously cannot take what is being ubiquitously referred to as the Gujarat model in toto and say the Gujarat model applies in toto to all of India and there's nothing else to be, the wheel has been invented and there's no need to invent it again. Now that would be a very, very silly political move. There are adjustments, there are modifications, there is a lot of fine-tuning which has to be done. But what is most important is what is the thrust of this political campaign. The thrust of this political campaign is if you concentrate on the issue of India's potential, unfulfilled potential, India's development, India's possible growth, and the need for a certain robust form of leadership. And that these, in turn, will really be the uniting figures for India. I think a lot of the questions which Pavan
Wasn't that exactly what Advani tried to be in the 80s
he
and
may
90s?
have been.
I mean, it's an ironical set of parallels.
You're quite right that there were. But the India of the 1980s and India of 2013-14 are two different things. And perhaps Mr. Advani is a little wrong in not acknowledging that.
Is he trying to be Vajpayee?
I think some of the impulses. I think what we have to really look at is there are new impulses. Every decade throws up new impulses.
And
aspirations. I think aspirations, and Modi has been successful in capturing many of these.
Okay.
Obviously, he cannot capture all of them.
Okay, last comment now.
Pavan
is right to question some
point
of them.
that seems to have lost everybody's attention.
Yeah.
Today, the nation is looking for a leader with a track record, a leader who brings in honesty and integrity on the table, a leader with a vision for India, a leader who carries, I think, modern ideas.
Do you accept that
within
he is popular but polarizing? Do you accept that he is...
He doesn't polarize at all. In fact,
do you accept that he is charismatic but contentious?
He's absolutely charismatic and not at all contentious. Where is his contentious nature
Reagan.
that you are finding? In fact, within the party, you look at Jaipur. For example, in Jaipur, the crowds was just hysterical in terms of
I'm not questioning the charisma. I'm simply saying that he is a contentious leader. There's no hiding from that.
Where? What is the contention?
All big leaders
certain
have been
people have certain thoughts.
Okay, let's let Pavan in.
Ronald Reagan was contentious. Margaret Thatcher was contentious.
Democratic setup, a decisive leader will always seem contentious.
Pavan, go ahead.
I think we have to acknowledge that decision is a good thing.
The real issue today, Barkha, the real issue today is that there is competitive politics within the BJP to outsmart everybody else in terms of showing their loyalty to Modi. A party is being hijacked. I believe the party has the potential to stop this and to begin a genuine debate before the elections on who should be legitimately the leader of a party with the kind of pedigree the BJP has had and the kind of ambitions that it holds for itself. That is the question, because the issues that have been raised need to be debated for the good of this nation, for the survival of this nation.
Okay. Abhishek Singhvi, here's my question to you. When you say that the Congress is in no hurry to get into this competitive naming of prime ministerial candidates, I ask again, are you suggesting there that Rahul Gandhi might not be interested in the job?
Not in the least. This is, typical cross-examination by the press going on for the last several months, because it's a non-issue.
So is he the prime ministerial candidate?
I have absolutely not said this.
Is he the prime ministerial candidate?
Discussed or topic. I don't think the need to address the crisis. Mr. Rahul Gandhi, let me answer that very directly. Mr. Rahul Gandhi is a person after whom lakhs and thousands of workers are rooting. But it is not an issue which exercises the Congress at the moment at all. We've had two governments ending 10 years next year. Okay. We've had a perfect transition to power. We've had all the, those prophecies of doom about Mrs. Sonia Gandhi doing that and this, all very amicably sorted out. Now, when 2014 is over the elections, we will in good time let you know our prime ministerial candidate. Now, what's the problem with this very simple, straightforward stand? Why should
they have no candidate?
Why, what will they project? The problem is, I'll tell you the problem. No, Barkha, I'll tell you the problem. Barkha, just one second.
Abhishek, complete your point.
Barkha, one second.
Okay.
First of all, it sounds almost funny, if not downright comic, to suggest that we don't have a leader when we've just finished 10 years of ruling this country, or will be finishing next year. Secondly, don't you find that the BJP is desperate to try to make us be judged by their standard? It is they who want us to say that we are also having a competition among prime ministership. We have this prime minister, that prime minister. That's not our standard at all.
Probably they are not in the race for prime ministership, right? They don't even hope to become a prime minister.
Unlike the BJP, we are much more interested in how soon you'll pass the food security, in how soon Mandega and Aadhaar and the direct benefit will be transformed.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the people will judge whether these antics on prime ministership are more important or priority for the country or the issues.
You give the nation act, but we will give them the action. We will actually reach jobs to the poor. we will actually lift them out of the
After you finish
institutionalized poverty of the Congress.
I'm going to ask Swapan a quick last question. Piyush,
Abhishek,
this will go on now till 2014. Small question to you. I asked Sushil Modi today.
The Prime Minister's post.
Okay, I asked Sushil Modi today that today while he was saying Advani has missed the mood of the party, there was also a time when he spoke about Modi needing to be more inclusive. He said this on record in several interviews. This is before the rupture, of course, between the JDU and the BJP. He also said that at that famous Sadbhavna meet that Narendra Modi had, this is Sushil Modi on record, that had he been offered the skull cap, he would have accepted it. My question is simply this, since we're all talking about... No, he said that in the past. He has said that in the past. He has said that in the past.
You're right.
My question is not really about Sushil Modi. My question is, now that Modi is going to be the prime ministerial candidate, will the Modi of old also have to grow beyond a certain kind of stereotypical image that he has boxed himself in?
I think you're probably right that there is after a sustained campaign of what I call vilification, you might call attack.
Or criticism.
I think there are people like Pawan Verma who have misgivings of Mr. Modi. And I think it is only fair that every BJP addresses every criticism, every fear which is there, including a very orchestrated alarmism which is being created amongst minorities, which, as you will agree, is not a very good thing. You don't want polarization along religious lines. And polarization of religious lines is not merely caused by loony fanatics. It can be caused by extremely ultra-secular people who actually invoke fear of identity, invoke identity politics. Therefore, I think in India, any person who aspires to be Prime Minister
needs to engage with
everybody, has to try and attempt, you may not always succeed, to take everybody along, and I think Mr. Modi is going to be no different than anyone else.
We'll leave it there. Swapan Das Gupta, Piyush Goyal, Pawan Verma, Abhishek Singhvi. What is clear is that we're in election season and you're going to hear a lot of this. What will be interesting to see is how the Congress reacts. For the moment, they're saying we're not interested. Can they afford that? That's a subject for another debate. We leave it there. Thanks for watching. Good night.